Here we are again. Welcome to the Go-to-Market Reset live show. I'm Nigel Maine, if you've not been here before. Thanks for joining me. What we're going to be talking about today is going straight in there about visibility. One of the problems that we see and understand. If you see me looking over there, it's because that's where my kind of monitor screen is. So I just know that I know what I've got on the screen and what I'm actually doing. So visibility, it falls into two kind of categories. I think maybe I should just preface this with who we are, what we do. We're a go-to-market reset software-related company. We provide software infrastructure or business infrastructure to replace existing go-to-market operations because it does not work. We are all abundantly aware that the promises that have been made to us by go-to-market teams don't come to fruition, that the software that has promised goodness knows what doesn't really work. So you have to understand how this has come about, because you think, well, there's so many people talking about GTM engineering, go-to-market teams, go-to-market strategies. I mean, it's just everywhere. And the trouble is with marketing, everyone's a marketer. Literally, everyone knows this job, and everyone knows how to do this. But the problem is, what people know and understand is driven and is founded in consumer-related marketing, not business marketing. And so what we see now is a great deal of dialogue and information and so on about go-to-market. And you can use NAN, you can use Instantly, Clay, a raft of different platforms, link them all together, and here's your... Now it's a GTM stack, not just a MarTech stack, it's a GTM stack, using all an intricate network of different platforms, from Claude to, as I said, NAN, Instantly, Clay, Lucia, Attico, HubSpot. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's just basically stitch everything together and sell that as a marketing system. But it doesn't work. We know it doesn't work. Everybody knows it doesn't work. Your figures, your monthly, quarterly, annual figures says it doesn't work. If you go back over the past 20 years, it says there's been no change in any of the software or technology that you've been coerced into buying. So that's our starting point. So it's not working. So to understand and to evaluate this is very difficult, because everybody uses the same software. So everyone at the moment has got Demand Gen, Lead Gen, ABM, pay-per-click. You've got, whether it's HubSpot, Marketo, Eloqua, Pardot, or any of the other automation platforms. You've got CRM, so you've got Salesforce, HubSpot, Zoho, whatever. And everybody expects to be able to achieve some kind of USP. So that doesn't happen. We know it doesn't happen. So if everybody's got the same software, everybody's doing the same thing, and I've said this before, if you put every single marketing team in a circle, and there are 250,000 businesses that have 10 employees or more in the UK. So put them all around like a clock face, all round, and move them one place. Just move them, just shift them that way. Doesn't matter how big, how small, just shift them that way, or whichever way you can see that. Just move them one space round, and they would continue doing what they're doing, because everybody works the same way. Everybody's got the same strategy, tactics, and ops when it comes to doing their marketing. So do what you've always done, get what you've always got, and there is no USP. You have no USP over the next business. And, well, that's just how it is. And so when businesses say, well, we're not doing the figures. We're not, you have your sales kickoffs and you go, well, next year we're going to do much better, aren't we, guys? Rah, rah, rah. So you go, okay, well, if next year's going to be different, what are you going to do differently? What's going to happen? And this is where it kind of starts to fall apart, because nobody does anything differently. Same old, same old. Demand gen, lead gen, ABM, pay-per-click. Change the pictures, change the text. That's it. But it doesn't work. So, it doesn't matter whether you've got 40 people or 4,000 people working for you. Visibility is a problem. And you look at the RFPs, you're not getting enough. You look at the actual numbers of appointments that are being achieved by the salespeople. Just forget everybody else for a minute, just the salespeople. How many appointments do your salespeople do on a daily basis? And some people will laugh and go, daily? Oh, okay, week. How many appointments do you do a week? New prospects. Weekly? You mean how many a month? Just think about that, because that's the infrequency of what happens. So you want to sustain and maintain your levels of business, but you're hardly seeing anyone. If you're not seeing new people, forget it. Nobody really pulls rabbits out of the hat. You go, oh, look, we've suddenly got this business. And that's the fundamental, critical problem within businesses. And so we have to look and concentrate on visibility. How do you achieve your visibility? That's the question. And if you're not succeeding at it in the visibility stakes, what are you doing that will increase or decrease that visibility? Because it all starts from visibility. We know that. You can't say, well, I tell you what, we've got this many appointments. You don't get the appointments without visibility. You don't get deals without appointments. So we can agree that sales is a numbers game without a shadow of a doubt. So, okay. So if sales is a numbers game, let's start working backwards. So you've got a close rate, so the numbers of deals, numbers of appointments that your salespeople do, and of those appointments that they do, how many deals do they get? Now, do you want to decide whether this is the ability of the salesperson or the ability of the company? That's important, not for me to think about, but for you. So working back from that, so if we go this way, if you've got the salesperson here, got the appointments, got the deals, how many calls did your BDRs have to make to find that person? How much outbound did you have to create for that BDR to call them? How many impressions did you need to actually get the information that gave the BDRs the information to call to make the appointment for the person to go and do the deal? It all rolls downhill completely. I keep bending down when I'm talking. I need to lift this up and just move that around a bit. That's a bit better. So when we're looking at this process, this visibility issue, the reality is absolutely nothing else matters except visibility, because everything flows from visibility. So what are you doing? What are we doing about it? Well, it's not completely straightforward, as we all know, because we've got this thing called GDPR. You might have heard of it. And people don't really want to have to think too much about it when it comes to B2B, because you can still send information to people and say, well, I think this is business relevant, therefore I'm sending it to you. Be a bit of a shocker if that were to change. But GDPR, in terms of you and I, individuals, we choose not to be found as you know, in our consumer lives. We don't want big tech, MarTech, selling our data like they did with Cambridge Analytica. So we want our privacy. But then so do businesses. And so if you can see how this is, I suppose, fed, how it flows. So if in our private life we want anonymity, and that relates to GDPR and protection of data, the same would be said, therefore, for our business life. We want to remain anonymous, which is how we buy. I'm a director, you're a director. You don't put your personal email, your business email address out there for all and sundry. So if you want to buy something, you'll go and buy it. You'll remain anonymous, thank you very much, and you'll go and buy it. We will go and buy it. Nobody else's business but ours. So the phraseology that I've used again and again is we want to self-serve, self-educate, remain anonymous, calculate the ROI, and then decide on who and when we want to speak to a salesperson about it. In that order. So that being the case, if you look at this buying process, this is where it starts to fall apart, basically. Marketing seem to think you've got some problem, and what we're going to do in marketing is we're going to say that we can solve the problem. Now, the CEO, the buyer, isn't thinking that. They're going, of course we've got a bloody problem. We know we've got a problem. We know that you can probably take care of it. Probably. But here's a list of 30 companies that can do the same as you. We are running a company. We're not stupid. We understand the problems. We are looking for a solution. Don't tell us about our problem. We already know we've got a problem. That's why we're looking for a solution. So what's the buyer doing? The buyer is looking for somebody, a company, that can articulate the problem and explain, illustrate and articulate how they solve it. Not that they solve it, how they solve it. They're looking for a company that says, not only do we're all agreed we're talking because we're talking about a certain problem, but this is how we approach it, this is how we deal with it, this is how we orchestrate things to impact you and your team and your teams of people in your business. And this is what it looks like on an ongoing basis. And this is how we support. And this is what we do. And we take care of it. And this is why you want to be connected to us. And so on, and so on, and so on. They know that your company deals with or sells products, a widget that does something. They know that. They also know every single person that's competition to you. And they can get that information from Claude, from AI, within seconds, and an analysis of every single business. But that's not what they're looking for. And that's the point. So it comes back down to visibility. So how visible are you? If you're saying, we sort out this problem, we sort out this problem. Yeah, and so do they, so do they, so do they, so do they. This is how we implement our systems. This is how we teach your people to take care of the problem. This is how there's a different conversation going on here. The conversation is, why should I trust you? Yeah, I know you do the product, the widget, but why should I trust you? So of course, when it comes to visibility, we're talking about this know, like, trust in advance. How do you do that? Don't want to see you. They want to remain anonymous. They want to self-serve, self-educate, remain anonymous, speak to you when they're ready. When they're ready. And if you look at that pyramid, I should really get. I mentioned this last week. I should, because I'll come on to something I'm doing shortly, which is, where's my? Here we go. So we're looking at this PowerPoint. We're looking at this pyramid, and the pyramid says, as a business, we've got our mission, we've got our strategy, tactics, and operations, daily operations. And what that means is that you've got a 10-year mission. You go, well, that makes sense, 10 years. And so then you go, okay, you've got 10 years. You've then got 5 years to orchestrate a strategy. 3 years to look at your tactics and to look and manage and adjust your tactics. And annually, you've got your operations. And the point here is that if that's how it rolls, if that's how it works, let me put this on the screen. If that's how it works, and we've got this oops, let's make it a bit bigger. 10, 5, 3 and 1, monthly, quarterly. So that's what's happening for every business. Makes sense. All of it makes sense. And so because of this, the lead time, this getting to know, like, and trust, and the whole thing about self-serve, self-educate, find out, and do, that takes, that kind of deciding, someone deciding their strategy could take 5 years. But here again, we're looking at this. If you look at across the bottom, if you've got a lead time of say 6 to 9 months, a sales cycle 6 to 9 months, that's when you know them. That's when they're visible. And Gartner and Forrester say, 85, 86% of the journey is done invisibly. Well, it's a pretty simple calculation. If 9 months and 86%, it equates to about 5 years, which fits back to the strategy time. Could be less. But overall, you're not going to know what they're doing because they want to self-serve, self-educate. So then if we look at what's happened in marketing, it started off 20 plus years ago that we'll get everyone on email. We want to grow our email lists. The likes of Yahoo and Ask Jeeves and the other, the older, I say older, but the search engines that were high, were quite visible then. Their valuation was based upon their lifetime value of the customer, and they established the lifetime value of the customer based upon the email connectivity they had. The bigger the email list, the more value was placed on the company. So thousands, millions of emails, the lifetime value of the customer would be X because that's how much they would be able to sell to them in the future. So therein lay the hiked up valuations. That was then. So how'd you get their email address? Offer them something. Give them something cheap, like a PDF. Offer it for free in exchange for their email address. Happy days. And the point was that if you've got PDFs that you're going to promote, what's the best way to do it? We kind of build out some kind of automation if we can. So we're talking now 2006-07. It's called marketing automation. Except it wasn't just one thing for another. In exchange for that, I'll give you this. It started off with pay-per-click. Click on it, click on the advert, went to a landing page, blah, blah, blah. Download this PDF, give us your details. Because you were already interested, you already kind of invested in it slightly. Then that expanded more into B2B, became marketing automation. Now what happened, they went to your website, you had a marketing automation form, fill out the form, salesperson, telesalesperson phones you up. It's 20 years ago. We've moved on. Everybody hates cold calls, especially in business. Waste of time, effort and money on both parts. So you've now got this methodology that's been established and grounded in B2B selling, that it's got to be demand gen, lead gen, ABM, pay-per-click. And also when the demand gen stuff stopped working with this, just doing the forms, it's like, it doesn't work. Are you doing ABM? And that was 2006, 7, 8, give or take, which is when demand gen started coming out, the likes of Marketo and so on. By 2016, that's when ABM came out, give or take. And the response was, that's not working because you're not speaking to and engaging with your stakeholders. So now you need to expand what you're doing and communicate to 16 people now who are the stakeholders that are influencing the purchasing decisions. Oh, 10 years later, 2026. What's happening now? In fact, it was some years ago, like 22, give or take. But we're 10 years later, yeah? What now? We're still not doing any business. Well, here's the thing. We're not quite sure what people are doing. Well, what do you mean? Well, it's called the dark social because we're not on their Slack messages. We're not finding out what they're talking about between themselves and so on. You go, whoa, wait a second. We don't know what they're talking about between themselves. Are you telling me they never spoke to each other before? No. I'm just saying now everyone's on Slack or this or that or some kind of messaging platform internally. But they spoke internally before. Well, yeah. So you're telling me that the whole marketing automation thing, that wasn't destined to work, and therefore nor was ABM destined to work because they were talking about it internally. Well, yeah, if you want to put it that way, yeah. So what you're telling us is that for the past 20 years, marketing automation, infrastructure, MarTech, big tech MarTech has not actually worked at all because now you're saying it's dark social. Oh, people talk to each other. Yeah. So we're talking visibility here. How do you think that's affected visibility? You as a business owner, you want visibility. No visibility, no business. And you've been told by this other group of people in marketing going, visibility is done this way. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. And now we're at a point where they're saying, actually, we're not involved in the conversation at all. And the response is, okay, so how do we get involved in the conversation? How do we get visible? We use BDRs. We phone them up. We get them on Sales Navigator, on LinkedIn. Scrape and spam and do this. Oh, it's not a problem. We're gonna do it this way. Be fine. Okay. So how's this all going to work then? Well, you use N8N, Clay, Instantly, Attico, Lucia, integrate all of that with HubSpot and so on, and use N8N to join and everything together. And we keep the stack. We just add to it because if you don't add to the stack, we're going to fall behind. And that's what you need now. So you go, okay, so we trusted you on pay-per-click back in the early 2000s. We trusted you for marketing automation. Trusted you for ABM, listened to your dark social, and now we're trusting you on GTM Stack, GTM Engineering. Right. Got any guarantees? Oh no, can't do that. So you're telling us that to get in front of people, we've now got to do what? Sorry. Well, some people call it scrape and spam, but it's not really. We're just looking to find the ICP, the ideal customer profile that we can latch onto, and then stalk them and find out what they're doing and what they're listening to and what messaging they're putting out. And if they put a message out and say, we're going to do this, or we're looking for that, or we're going to recruit or whatever, they've got some money, they're actually doing some business. So we that's how we get in. All right, okay. Anything else? Well, no, not really. But what we also do is we'll continue to use Candy, Lead Forensics, and all the other people, so we can find out who's actually going on our website. And then, because we're using platforms like Cognism, who use Bombara as well, I think it's Bombara. Anyway, what we can do is then we can also find these people when they buy something for their kids or their family. What do you mean? Well, we've got all the consumer data. So someone buys something from Amazon or from something online from their office, and they pay for it. We've got that detail. We know the name. We know what they bought, what they're buying because of remarketing platforms, and we know the IP address. We trace the IP address back to the company, and so now we know the company, so we can phone them up and track them on LinkedIn now, and we've joined all the dots, we've identified them, we've exposed them, we've revealed them. That's the plan. That's the future. You can gather I'm not impressed. For two reasons. One, of course I got a product, but two, I buy stuff. I get phone calls. I get furious when I get certain phone calls. Because some of the people sound more like scam call centres than anything else. But they're talking to me about my business. So I'm kind of not impressed. So that's a big problem. So we're kind of getting back to visibility again. So what we're doing is, here we are as a 20, 30, 50, 500 person company being encouraged by marketing to scrape and spam. Oh, but we're using AI. You go, big deal. Tokens are tokens, however much it costs. So what? You still haven't got over that issue to do with getting a business getting to know, like, and trust you. Because if they're not on that journey to want to get to know, like, and trust you, you're not selling anything. You're not going to sell anything. Because, I spoke to someone a couple of weeks ago who said that, when we see the deals that are going out there, we might get 1 in 10. The other 9 don't even know us. It's a big company, big company. You don't even know, you've not even heard of us. So if you've got companies with thousands of employees across the world, and there are situations today, they go, they've never heard of us. How many people have heard of your company? Do you know? There's a two-way thing here. One is your total addressable market. Do you know it? Can you identify it? And if you can, well, that's great. That's really good, because that's the starting point. So the visibility bit starts to become a bit easier. If you look at the numbers of businesses in the UK, there are between 10 and 50, 212,000 businesses. Between 50 and 250, there are I never get this right, 36, 38,000. I think it's 38. I think it's 36,000. And between 50 and above, 250 and above, there's 8,000. Nicely rounded to 250,000 businesses from 10 employees and above. So, say, for example, you've got a total addressable market that you can identify. Let's round it off, 10,000 businesses. Easy. So you've got 10,000 businesses. I know I've got another slide here which I can show. I'm sure I have. And if I haven't, I'll be upset. No. talk amongst yourselves. So 10,000 businesses. Oh, no, here we go. I'm sure it's it. Oh, it's a different slide. The thing is, I'm talking about, just to let you in on what I'm doing, on a bigger picture, is that I am in the process of using our infrastructure. Oh, look, found it. Using our infrastructure to build out a new live show series. I'll come on to it in a second. But this is why I've got nothing on the teleprompter. I've got my laptop, and I've been massively busy, because this is a really important aspect of being able to enable and empower businesses to do exactly what they need to do. And part and parcel of it is delivering effective live shows. So let me show you this particular slide here. So there's your technology curve. That represents your entire market. And I just said 10,000 businesses. So you've done two things. You've identified your total addressable market. You said it's 10,000. You've gone and bought a 10,000 name database from a data company that's cost you £3,000, £300 per thousand. You're now looking at this, and we're saying, right, that first segment right over here. Let me just do this bit. Laser pointer. There we go. So this area here, okay. So 2.5 to 13.5, that gives us 16% of your total addressable market are active. They're thinking about moving forward, keeping on top of things, being the first, being the leaders in their market. The rest of them, not so much. Early majority, late majority, laggards. So we just concentrate on that 16%. So now we've got 10,000 businesses. We've got 16% of them, fairly acceptable number, and they are looking on a regular basis. That's how they think. You send out an email to 10,000 businesses, costs £100, if that, every week. You also do banner adverts, and the way that works is that you upload the same 10,000 name database to LinkedIn. LinkedIn send banner adverts to the exact number of people that you've got identified through those emails. Two-pronged attack. Some stuff will go to spam, the banners won't. Either way, you're going to get the coverage. There is no other way except putting banners somewhere else, like another website and that type of advertising, if that's what you wanted to do. But you could. So to reach your total addressable market, you message them and tell them. And part and parcel of that is posts that go out on LinkedIn as well. So you've got three things going on. You've got social posts going out, you've got emails going out to your total addressable market, and you've got banners appearing on the news feeds of those people in your total addressable market. You've now just achieved total coverage. You have to think about that. And the reason I say you've got to think about it is because most marketing companies are focusing on AI-based scrape and spam. It doesn't work because of the messaging that's required is to say, we know you've got a problem. You wouldn't be looking at us if you didn't have a problem. So we've identified, we now are on the same page that we know, you know that we provide solutions for the problem, and you know that you've got the problem. Let me show you why we're such a great company. This is how we start. This is what we do. This is how we organise it. This is what we want you to do. This is how we teach. This is how we impart educational information so that you know that you're able to make that decision and you're going to feel comfortable making that decision with us. We are going to give you everything to help you get to know, like, and trust us because we want your business, and the only way we can prove that we want your business is by demonstrating it to you this way around. So you're with me, yeah? So how does any company do that? It's going to be difficult to come out of that live show. It's going to be difficult. And so the only way you can even attempt to do that is looking at your existing infrastructure. We've moved away from this sales and marketing divide, this tension between sales and marketing. No, there is no tension. It's marketing telling everybody that salespeople can't sell. Yet your salespeople are the people that get the ink on the page, on the paper. They get the signed deal. But the thing is, you've got this constant marketing salespeople saying the leads are no good. And we're back to, if you've seen the film Glengarry Glen Ross, leads are for closers. Yeah, ABC, always be closing. But the bottom line is that what is marketing saying that should encourage or engage a potential prospect? What are you saying? Because if you're not physically working towards a method that says, look, we're transparent, we're open, here we are, this is how we help, this is what we do. There is a reason why certain businesses get on the radar of your prospect before you do, because they're doing something like that. Bit of it's kind of it's not something you could write a business plan on, because they just happen to be right time, right place, or right place, right time, and so on. Because it's not based on technical ability, almost like fluke, and you lose out on 90% of the rest of the business. So there has to be this methodology, this approach that says we must have the ultimate ability at visibility. If you don't, you're dead. You know you're dead. And again, you look at all of this technology. If you go this way, all this technology over 20 years. If it worked, I wouldn't be talking to you now. Simple as that. Would not be I'd have nothing to say. But 20 odd years of MarTech promises doesn't work. I know it doesn't work. I've been doing this for 40 years. I know it doesn't work. Everybody else knows it doesn't work, but they don't really want to say anything, because what else are you going to do? There's no point saying something works. Come to me with a solution. Don't come to me with problems. Your CFO knows it doesn't work. Knows it doesn't work. CEO knows it doesn't work. Salespeople know it doesn't work. Yet people in marketing go, oh, look, we're doing great guns. Look at the analytics. Look at what's happening. Look at the clicks. So what? Look at the downloads. So what? It's completely and utterly irrelevant. And then guess who starts banging a drum wanting attribution for the sales that do come in? Why? Because they want to keep their job. You would if you're in marketing. Marketing have done a crap job. I mean, that's just how it is. They've not read the writing on the wall, which says self-serve, self-educate, remain anonymous, calculate the ROI before speaking to someone. If everyone's pumping out that information and knows that information, knows the statistics, every salesperson knows the statistics from the likes of Gartner and Forrester, it's used all the time. So if everybody knows about it, why has no one done anything about it? Because it's a deal breaker. This enormous group of people that are over here in marketing, all with their own little jobs doing this, that and the other. Start talking about the actual problem and how to solve the problem. They're all out of a job. And the marketing people watching this are going, Nigel, stop, be quiet, don't, stop. I know I'm right. But it's worse than that. It's no good someone just going, I think I'm right. If you look at the numbers of businesses that have gone bust over the past 25, 30 years, the statistics have remained stable. They shouldn't have remained stable at all, but they've remained stable. 20, 30, 50, 70. 20% fail in the first year, 30% in the second, 50% in the third, and 70% year 10. Compound, that's 91.6% of all businesses go bust within 10 years. And it's not changed. Why hasn't it changed? Because it should have changed if the marketing automation platforms and everything else was working. But it wasn't, because we know we've got to dark social. And the next iteration of generating new business is all scrape and spam. So there you have it. There's all the reasons why it's gone wrong. All the reasons. And so, as a business owner, you've got to look at this and go, what on earth are we going to do? So, I suppose this is the good bit. That if you look at this, it's our website, yeah. We've rebuilt this from the ground up, literally from the ground up. And if you've been following me for any length of time, you'll know I spent 40 years doing this. 25 years direct sales, running telecoms, voice up to voice over IP integration with CRMs and so on, and then moved directly into marketing. And I was a complete marketing automation fanboy, absolutely, until I realised it didn't work. And then moved into looking at alternatives, what was required. And it takes a long time when you do it by yourself. You know, you're looking at, not just looking at and observing. You can't just look and observe, you've got to do. And so testing different things, different methods and different strategies and different approaches to come up with what is the solution. I mean, partly it's not personal. I wanted to sell stuff at scale. Doesn't matter what it was. I didn't care what it was. I just wanted to sell at scale. And I can't. You can look at jumbo jets; they're big, yeah. But that wasn't it, because my life has always been in B2B. So how do I sell B2B stuff? Doesn't matter what it is, at scale. How can I make it happen again and again and again? And that's what drove me to keep pushing forward to try this and try that. And it started off with thinking it was cinematic quality video that you would do, and then lockdown, and then we moved on to this type of stuff, streaming. And that's one part of the solution. It's not the solution, it's just part of it, because it's this infrastructure. So if you look at what we've got here on the screen, at the top is the infrastructure. And you click on that, changes at the bottom. Then we've got the way that you reach out. We talked about this as a website, open access website, take the forms off it. Social posts, emails, banners. And that section in itself, very clever. To come onto it. And then we've got the live show, Connect, which is an appointment making infrastructure, which I talked about. Or did I? It's one of those things. You know, one talks about these things a lot. What we have, we reach out to businesses, do the live show, which is the call to action. At the call to action, you say, if you go to our website, click on the discovery button at the top right, and that will take you to a series of a multi-page form. Complete the form. That's our discovery, because we would do that in a face-to-face, but it saves time because you can get somebody else to do it rather than you have to do it yourself. Complete the form, book a time to meet us. Once that's done, our system generates the quote, generates the slide deck, generates the cost comparison, does the research on the company and the individual, and presents that to the salesperson. Just like that. Literally just like that. It is great. So when it comes back to how many appointments do your salespeople do a day, changes that fabric, because if you work that back and you look at how many people are you getting exposure to? You say, well, we've increased it this month. We're up to 30,000, to 40,000, to 50,000. And of that, we're getting this many people watch us. Of the people that are watching our live show, we're getting this many people that are booking appointments. And of the people that book appointments, we get this many that we actually do quotes for and finalise the quote. And there's our pipeline. And on the subject of pipeline, if I go to, I have to put my glasses on for this. If I go to the OS and then click on here, I can't get it to enlarge. Doesn't matter. That page there, the revenue engine, there's your dashboard. You've got impressions to value. Impressions to pipeline. And then there's the rest of the other screens and so on. But that's what this is about. It's not about anything other than how do us in this market, this business, how do we get to a point where we are looking at the appointments that we're making? Why isn't that? That's not refreshed, is it? I wonder why it didn't do that. See if it comes up again. I don't understand why. But the point is that it might be the laptop, it might be the update. But basically, there's the questionnaire. There's the information that we've got, and you can click through and see the data fill in terms of costs and people and training and what you do at the moment. But the whole point of this is that it's all online. Everything's online. And I wanted to show you that next bit, but it's not coming up for some reason. It's called doing it live, isn't it? Maybe if I go back to the home page, I'll try that. So the whole point is that we've created this infrastructure that gives you the most greatest, highest level of exposure you could ever hope for, because it's targeted at your total addressable market, not anyone else. It excludes the stuff that you're not interested in, and because you're doing a social posting, anybody else that might be interested, they'll pick up on that. The call to action does things like teach them, download this, have a look at that. We've put some information out. We've got 1,000. We've got it's over 2,000 now of downloads, because we're looking at educating our market. So when you take a step back and you're not on the front foot trying to make that appointment, saying, "Oh, we need to see you. Let's book a time in the diary." No, people don't want to do that. What we want to do when we're in buying mode is learn and find out and say, "Can you support? Can you do this?" And that's why if you look at on the OS information we've got here. Is it going to come up? Maybe, maybe not. The whole point is how does it work? How is this going to work? How is it going to work for people? You know, we have a first phase, and the first phase, maybe there's maybe that's slightly better. We've got a training course. Well, of course we have. But I say, of course we have. We have a training course. So the training course is there to help businesses look at and re-evaluate, redefine, and retrain when it comes to marketing or go-to-market. And we recommend the CEO and the VP of sales does this first. You might want to get your CMO CMO involved if you think it's relevant. But the focus of this whole methodology and infrastructure is the appointment. I don't care about anything else, not interested. The only thing that I'm interested in is the appointment. There you go. Happy smiley face. You got the appointment. So, and that's the point. That's the point of this. Nothing else matters about unless it's the appointment. And so if you have a methodology that communicates this information to businesses and says to them, look, you can get to know, like, and trust us anonymously. Read our information, come and join us online. And what you do online is, it doesn't have to be a talking head thing like this. I'm just kind of used to doing that. But the other point is that we have this this structure that says we believe that we can teach you about everything you need to know to change the methodology that you've been using so far to increase your profitability significantly. And the nature of this infrastructure is that you tell it what to do. And literally. So you use Whisper, you use a voice-activated bit of information, and you just say to your AI, do this, do that, do this, do that. And it will send the posts out. It will schedule the posts. It will schedule the emails. It will schedule the banners. It will write the script. That's what we're doing at the moment. It will write the script, schedule the live streams, send out the emails to promote the live shows to your list and to the tagged people within those lists, and then process the information and post it back up online to keep promoting you, to maintain that visibility, which drives traffic to your live show, to encourage people to make a booking, to get to know you and to get you to quote them, and keep that cycle going autonomously. And I'm not going to go through it today, I'll do it next week. But we've created a closed loop. So it's not self-aware, it's not that, but it knows what's being sent out. It's looking at the responses that come back in. And I've stopped on here. You see the bottom right down here. That relates to this information on this page. Ask salesXchange here. This is an independent, autonomous, anonymous method to ask me any question through our knowledge base. There's 11 million words in there, everything I've written and my kind of 3.5 year conversation with AI. 11 million words, ask anything. A combination of that and with everything else being in BigQuery means that we have the constant, instant ability to analyze absolutely everything that's happening with our entire queryable business. And on that note, I'm going to leave that for next week and share some information that A16Z, Y Combinator and other Silicon Valley investment companies are talking about, and to show you how we've structured ours with a a completely queryable business with 11 million words, which is 186 dummies books, and we're live on all of that now. So anyway, that's it for today. I know it's a bit of a talking head, but at the end of the day, what I say doesn't seem to be kind of mainstream. And it's not mainstream because it's not. The view is, what else are you going to do? It's always the same. What else are you going to do? And we're saying now it's called salesXchange OS is what you're going to do. That's the next stage. Why would you do it? Because It absolutely slashes your costs, increases your visibility and profitability from day one. How you do that is up to you. This isn't a matter of saying get rid of a load of people. I'm not saying that. But what I'll leave you with is what IKEA did. Oh, and Salesforce. Salesforce they implemented AI and got rid of 4,000 people. Now they're paying for it. Okay. The next part was that my bell's going to go, I think. And the next part basically is that IKEA actually did the same. They implemented AI, and it could have got rid of 8,500 people, but instead they retrained them because they knew what AI was doing, knew the queries that AI was receiving, and retrained them and increased their turnover by 1.4 billion. So we're talking about efficiency here. So I'll leave that with you. Join me again next week. I'm going to talk about what we call a RAG system and how that impacts, and how we have everything centralized, all the data centralized, that impacts reporting, instant reporting. You know, as a CEO, you say, I want to know X. And someone says, okay, well, I'll try and get a report done for that, and we'll get that put into Data Studio or something like that, into Looker. Now everything is instant, literally instant, and that's what we'll talk about next week. Have a great week from now till next week, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.